Hello everyone, welcome to the Profitable Traders. This week I used a strategy that I've never shared before on this platform and I profited from it. But today I'm going to share with you this strategy. This strategy is so simple that even the beginners can comprehend. I'm also going to share with you the analysis of my predictions for next week. Therefore, watch the video till the end. So if you want to be alerted whenever we upload new videos on YouTube, then subscribe and turn on the notifications bell. Without further ado, let's get started. This strategy, guys, has something to do with correlation pairs. For example, if you have two pairs that correlate, then you look for a reason to buy on one pair, then look for a reason to sell on the other pair. And the two pairs that I did this strategy on, one is dollar Canadian and the other one is New Zealand dollar. On dollar Canadian, I found a reason to buy this market when it came on this level of support. So what was the reason? The reason has something to do with key levels of structure. I always do this every week, and if you have watched my videos, then you will understand that these are the same levels that I drew and explained in most of my videos, and these are the same levels that I trade whenever the market comes to these levels of structure. As this market came to this support level and it got a bounce at this level, then this became my strong level of structure. And if we go to the left here, this level that I've marked green was tested here as support, was tested here as support, and it was tested here as support. And I'm sure if we go further to the left, then you will find out that this level was tested here as resistance, it was tested here as support. So we have found out that this level of structure is a level that has been tested multiple times. And to be more precise, you don't just draw a level, it's a zone. And this zone is what I have marked with these two green lines, and in between the two green lines is a zone that I consider to be a powerful level of support. And this level marked red was tested here as resistance, was tested here as support, and was tested here as support, and tested here as support. So when this market came up to this level of structure, I had a win. When it came to this level of structure on a 4-hour time frame, I had a win here, and I have a video where I explain this analysis of this winning trade. I took a sale here at this resistance level and expected this market to come all the way to this level of support, and the market made a retest back up here and came to this level of structure. Now when this market came to this level of structure, and as I marked it here on a daily time frame, this is a strong level of structure, and I expect the market, once it comes to this level of structure, there should be a bounce before it continues to the downside. So when it came to this level of structure on a 4-hour time frame, I saw this price action pattern. We have our first bottom, a pullback, and a second bottom. This double bottom, and at this double bottom with this bullish candle is where I took this trade. I took this trade here, and this was a win this week, and it was at a 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio. So this was the trade that I took on dollar Canadian, and the trade that I took on New Zealand Canadian was the opposite to this. Let's go to New Zealand Canadian. I also had a win here where I explained head and shoulders pattern. This was our first shoulder, a pullback, a head, and a pullback, our second shoulder. And at this second shoulder is where I got into the trade, and it was a win. This was the previous week, and I was anticipating this market to break below this level of structure. And once it breaks below this level of structure, I would expect a pullback to it, then get into the trade. Why was this level of structure a strong level of structure? It's because this level of structure was tested here as support, tested here as support, and let's check it out here. If we scroll back, it was tested here as support and slightly here tested as resistance. So this is a strong dynamic level of structure. So what I did, I went to a lower time frame, which is a 4-hour time frame, and at this 4-hour time frame, you see this market made a pullback into this zone, and you can see this bearish engulfing candle. And at the close of this bearish engulfing candle is where I got into the trade with a risk to reward ratio of 1:2. Unfortunately, I got stopped out here by 1 pip. But hey, do you know what just happened? I took 2 trades on 2 currency pairs. One is dollar Canadian, which I found a reason to buy, and the other one is New Zealand Canadian, which I found a reason to sell. On these 2 trades, I'm certain that one is going to be a win or one is going to be a loss. And if one is a win and one is a loss, and my risk to reward ratio is 1:2, then at the end of the day, the 2 trades that I have taken turn out to be profitable, because one is a win with 1:2 risk to reward ratio, and the other one is a loss with 1:2 risk to reward ratio. Let me make a recap of these strategies so that you will understand it completely. I took 1 trade on dollar Canadian. On dollar Canadian, I found a reason to buy this trade. As I explained before, this market came to a strong level of support, and at this level of support, I expect a market to get a bounce here before it continues to the downside. So I took this trade on dollar Canadian as a buy, and the second trade was on New Zealand Canadian. New Zealand Canadian and dollar Canadian correlate because they all have Canadian dollar. So if I buy 1 pair and sell 1 pair, it means that for certain 1 trade is going to be a win or 1 trade is going to be a loss. And if my risk to reward ratio is 1:2, I'm going to be profitable because my reward is much higher. This New Zealand Canadian, I had a reason of selling because the market broke below this level, this dynamic level of structure, and made a pullback to it with an entry reason, and I sold this market. Unfortunately, I was stopped out by 1 pip plus the spread, and the market is now in my direction. 2 currency pairs that correlate. I sold one and bought one. One's going to be a win, one's going to be a loss, and I'm going to be profitable because my reward is much higher than my risk. And this is the strategy that I am sharing with you. Go and backtest this strategy, and also don't just go and buy or go and sell on these correlation pairs. What you have to do, you have to incorporate it with your existing strategy. And if you find a reason to sell 1 pair and find a reason to buy the other pair, this is when this strategy can be profitable. But if you just go and sell anyhow on 1 pair and go and buy anyhow on the other pair, you're going to lose. If you haven't yet understood it, go back and watch this tutorial again over and over until you understand it. Now I'm going to explain to you the analysis behind my predictions for next week. And my first currency pair is Aussie Canadian. On Aussie Canadian, let's go to a daily time frame. And on this daily time frame, what do you think is the trend of this currency pair? If you say this currency pair is in a downtrend, then you are correct, because this market made an impulsive leg, a pullback, and another impulsive leg. And guess what? Let me change the color to black so that it can be visible. And on this daily time frame, you see this market here is a resistance, here is a support, here is a resistance, here is a support, and here is a support. So this is a dynamic level of structure that I identified on this currency pair. I do this weeks before and to make my work easier, so that when I just go on the charts, I can easily identify my setups and all that. And this market made an impulsive leg and made a pullback to this level of structure. You see how powerful this level of structure is? This level of structure has pushed this market below another level of structure. Here is support, and here is resistance, and here is resistance. Now, why do I consider this as a strong level of support? It is because this level of structure was tested here as support and pushed this market to the upside. It was tested here as support and pushed this market to the upside. Tested here as support and pushed this market to the upside. And it was tested here as resistance and pushed this market to the downside. So this is a level of structure where the market has been reacting in the past, and it has been tested multiple times. So what I now see here, since this market broke below this level of structure, what I'm waiting for now is a pullback to this level of structure, then expect this market to continue to the downside, which is a trend continuation strategy. Here you could catch so many pips, because when it makes a pullback to this level of structure, what I will do is to go to a lower time frame. In this case, it will be a 4-hour time frame or a 1-hour time frame. Then look for an indication in this zone to go to the downside. So this is my prediction for next week. If I find a pullback to this level of structure in this green zone, I'll look for an entry reason to go to the downside. My next prediction is on Aussie Swiss. These two currency pairs, guys, what do you see common to them? Aussie CAD and Aussie Swiss. These are correlation pairs, right? Because Aussie is common in these two pairs. In Aussie Canadian, I'm looking for a reason to sell. And on this Aussie Swiss, I'm looking for a reason to buy. Why so? Because this market has just come to this level of structure which I have marked green, and this level of structure is a level that has been tested multiple times. It was tested here as support, and it was tested here as resistance and as resistance. It didn't quite go up here, but I could count this as resistance. And if we go here, what do you see? We see this level here was tested as support. And if we go further to the left, I would count here, it didn't quite get below this, it didn't quite get into this level, but there was a reaction there. There was a reaction at this level. So this is a level of structure that has been tested multiple times. So what I am waiting on this currency pair now is just a small I'm just waiting for a small rally up before this market continues to the downside, and this I will do by going to a lower time frame and look for a reason of buying this trade. Now, if I take these two trades on these two different pairs, one currency pair, which is Aussie Canadian, I have a reason to sell, and on Aussie Swiss, I have a reason to buy. One of them will be a win and one of them will be a loss. And if one of them is a win and one of them is a loss, and my risk to reward ratio is 1 to 2, what do you think will happen? This is going to be profitable because my reward is much higher than my win, and one trade is a win and one trade is a loss. So this is called correlation pairs strategy. You find two currency pairs that correlate, and with your existing strategy, find a reason to sell on one currency pair and find a reason to buy on the other currency pair with a high risk to reward ratio. The next prediction is on New Zealand Yen. Let's check it out. On this higher time frame, this market made an impulsive leg, a pullback, an impulsive leg, and a pullback. Now I'm expecting this market to make another impulsive leg to this level of structure. Now when this market comes to this level of structure, this is a powerful level of structure, what I will do, I will expect a little bounce off here as a counter trend, because it is against the underlying trend. Underlying trend is this downtrend. So I will look for a small pullback here on a much lower time frame, like an hourly time frame, and get a few pips here, nearly 100 or close to 100. And if I don't find a reason to go up here, and if this market breaks and closes below this level of support, what I will do is to wait for a pullback at this level, at this zone, this green zone, then look for a reason to sell. Well, you might be asking, why do I mark this as a strong level of structure? It is a strong level of structure because this level was tested here as support, it was tested here as support, it was tested here as resistance, here as support, and every time the market came to this level, there has been a reaction. When this market made a pullback into this level, what happened? There was a reaction, and when there was a reaction, a bounce off at that level. When it pulled back this level, there was a reaction. When it pulled back to this level here, there was a reaction. There was a reaction. Now, what I'm waiting for is that when I see this market coming back to this green zone, the same level where the market has been reacting in the past, I will expect a reaction. And if I don't find a reaction, that's not a problem at all, because what I will do is to wait for this market to break below this level of structure. Now once it does that, what I will do next is to wait for a pullback to this zone, then go to my lower time frame, which is a 4-hour time frame or a 1-hour time frame, then look for an entry reason to sell the market. The next is pound yen. New Zealand yen and pound yen, they have yen in common. So if one is a buy and the other one is a sell at a risk to reward ratio which is favorable, then you will lose one and win one trade, and at the end you will be profitable. Let's check out this prediction on pound yen. If I buy New Zealand yen and I have a reason of buying pound yen, I will not buy pound yen. I will just take a trade on one of the pairs. But if one pair is a buy and one pair is a sell, this is where I will take both of them. So this currency pair, which is pound yen, why have I marked this level of structure as a powerful level of structure? It is because we have this level of structure that was tested here as support, it was tested here as resistance, and if we scroll to the left, we'll find out that this was tested here as resistance and tested here as resistance, and there was a resistance here as well. And every time the market came to this level, there was a reaction. So this is a strong level of structure that I'm looking at. So what I will do next week, when I find a complete pullback to this green zone, I will look for a buy opportunity by going to a lower time frame and look for an indication of buying. If this market doesn't do as I have done, what I will do is to wait for this market and breaks below this level of structure, and once it does that, I'll wait for a pullback at it and expect this market to go to the downside. So these are my predictions for next week. And if you have found this video so valuable to you and you haven't yet subscribed, would you consider to subscribe and to turn on the notifications bell so that you'll be alerted whenever we upload new videos? And also don't forget to like this video. This will help me with YouTube algorithm, and this will motivate me to continue giving you guys free tutorials that are valuable, that are worth hundreds of dollars. Thank you for watching. My name is Edward Majog, the Profitable Traders Coach. See you in the next video.